While official channels fell silent, independent analysts began asking a different question. Not where 3 Atlas came from, but what it was saying. A group of cryptographers took publicly available orbital data, velocity, timing, gravitational vectors, and translated them into binary sequences. Compression algorithms typically used in deep space messaging were applied. The output wasn't noise. It repeated. Intervals aligned. Numeric clusters emerged. Atomic numbers surfaced again and again: carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron. Matter. Structure. Biology. Machinery. Between them were prime number sequences. Recursive spacing. Not language but syntax. The trajectory itself was behaving like a transmission. If the object struck Mars, that would be one outcome. If it missed, another. Either way, the event was meaningful. Contextual. Deliberate. As projections narrowed further, scientists noticed something chilling. The descent corridor passed directly over Elysium Planitia, a region of Mars known for strange symmetry. Spiral flows. Concentric ridges. Geometry that feels intentional. At its center sat a circular basin with no impact signature, no volcanic residue. Within it, crystalline silicates pulsed faintly when struck by sunlight. Regularly. Predictably. A marker. Then another anomaly appeared. Trailing behind 3 Atlas, at a fixed distance, was a shadow. Not debris. Not gas. Something darker than space itself. Invisible to infrared. Absent from radar. Yet it blocked light perfectly. It followed without lag. Without drift. Gravity did not touch it. As if 3 Atlas wasn't alone. Ancient alignment researchers noticed something else. The object's approach dates matched rare orbital harmonics. Patterns once tracked by early civilizations. The last time those same planetary positions aligned during an anomalous atmospheric event on Earth was 1908. Tunguska. Coincidence began to feel like an excuse. A Princeton research team studying neural synchronization made an unexpected discovery. When subjects were exposed to 3 Atlas's light curve frequencies, their brain activity began to align. Not metaphorically. Measurably. Across isolated rooms. The same 17-minute rhythm. Resonance is normal. Entrainment is not. The signal wasn't just mechanical. It was cognitive. Archaeoastronomers pulled records from across cultures. Babylonian tablets. Andean stonework. Tibetan charts. All describe the same motif. A flame-like serpent descending from the dark, bending unnaturally, converging on the red god. One carving depicted Mars emitting 4 radiating lines after contact. When overlaid with modern simulations, the dispersion matched perfectly. History wasn't predicting the future. It was remembering it. Then Mars itself responded. Trace Gas Orbiter detected xenon isotopes rising from below the surface. Seismic tremors followed. Subsurface temperatures increased. And magnetometers recorded a weak but patterned pulse. Every 17 minutes. Cerberus fossae began to hum. Later, Olympus Mons emitted infrasonic harmonics. Structured. Repeating. When visualized, the waveform mirrored 3 Atlas's emissions near the Sun. Mars was not reacting after arrival. It was preparing before it. Light fluctuations from the object evolved into layered pulse sequences. 7 beats. Pause. 3. Pause. 13. Fibonacci spacing. Organic mathematics. Growth patterns. Memory encoding. This wasn't a countdown to impact. It was synchronization toward resonance. Then, under Utopia Planitia, an old thermal anomaly reappeared. This time unmistakable. Its shape matched an ancient glyph carved into Martian stone formations long dismissed as erosion. A spiral. A circle. Two worlds aligned. High-resolution imagery captured something unprecedented. Dust fields near Noctis Labyrinthus shifted, not blown but lifted. Two concentric ovals expanded outward, forming an unmistakable shape. An eye. Tilted precisely to Earth's axial angle. Mars had not just responded. It had recognized. In Webb's final usable scan, something buried in the molecular plume shattered the last boundary. A repeating strand. Nuclear-based. Structured for replication. Not DNA. Not RNA. But undeniably informational. Segments mirrored encryption logic. Others matched musical intervals. Life, not as cells, but as language. As 3 Atlas entered its final alignment, Earth, Mars, and the Sun formed a perfect line. The geometry matched ancient monuments across our planet, built long before modern astronomy. Stone circles. For most of human history, Pluto was nothing more than a dim point of light, barely holding its place at the edge of the Sun's reach. A world so distant that sunlight there feels more like a memory than a presence. When New Horizons finally raced past Pluto in 2015, it wasn't supposed to change everything. Scientists expected a frozen relic, a silent iceball drifting through darkness. Instead, Pluto revealed a world that refused to behave. Mountains of solid water ice rose higher than the Rockies. Vast plains of frozen nitrogen flowed like glaciers. And above it all hovered something no one had predicted, a thin, bluish veil wrapping the planet, stretching hundreds of kilometers into space. A fragile haze, layered and luminous, glowing softly against the black. But beauty wasn't the real surprise. Temperature was. Every model said Pluto's atmosphere should be warmer than what New Horizons measured. Not by a little. By tens of degrees. In a place already colder than almost anything humans had ever measured, that gap was enormous. The math didn't just feel wrong, it was wrong. Energy was missing. Heat was vanishing. Something was pulling warmth out of Pluto's sky far more efficiently than physics allowed. For years, scientists recalculated. They blamed instruments. They blamed assumptions. They blamed Pluto itself. Nothing worked. The atmosphere stayed impossibly cold, and the haze stayed stubbornly unexplained. Then a radical idea surfaced. A planetary scientist suggested that Pluto's haze wasn't passive at all. That it wasn't simply drifting debris or frozen mist. Instead, those microscopic particles might be actively controlling the planet's temperature. The theory proposed that the haze absorbed faint ultraviolet light from the distant sun and re-emitted that energy as infrared radiation, not downward, but outward into space. In other words, Pluto was wearing a heat-radiating cloak. Most researchers dismissed the idea immediately. Solid particles dominating atmospheric cooling went against decades of planetary science. Gases were supposed to run climates, not dust. But the theory made a dangerous prediction, dangerous because it could be tested. If true, Pluto's haze should glow faintly in the mid-infrared spectrum. There was only one telescope capable of seeing that glow. In 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope turned its gaze toward Pluto. For the first time, its instruments were sensitive enough to separate Pluto's faint heat from that of its massive moon. Webb scanned the dwarf planet across multiple infrared wavelengths, carefully peeling away surface emissions. What remained stunned everyone. The glow was real. Stronger than surface ice alone could produce. Something high above Pluto was radiating energy into space, exactly where the haze was densest. The spectral signature matched the prediction almost perfectly. The missing heat wasn't missing at all, it was being deliberately expelled. Pluto's atmosphere wasn't broken. It was engineered by chemistry. The haze particles, made of complex organic compounds called tholins, were acting like millions of microscopic radiators. Formed when sunlight struck methane, they drifted downward in layers, continuously cooling the sky from above. Pluto wasn't frozen by accident. It was actively regulating itself. And then Webb revealed something even stranger. Methane escaping Pluto's atmosphere wasn't simply dispersing into space. It was settling onto its moon, transforming under sunlight into reddish organic material. Pluto wasn't just changing itself. It was altering its companion, slowly painting its surface over time. A dead world doesn't do that. As scientists absorbed this revelation, a troubling question emerged. If Pluto could do this, could other worlds be doing the same thing? And if so, how many had we misunderstood?